What's up everyone, it's ENDYMION, and there's this really weird story brewing around Japanese manga and the handling of localizations of these stories when they come to Western shores. It's a pretty wild tale with some damning evidence. I have so much stuff in front of me, but I'll do my best to present this in as easy a way as I can. But I figured we start at the source, with this article from Bounding Into Comics titled, English localizers unhappy after the ancient Magus bride announces AI human hybrid simuldubs. Such disrespect for the substance of the original text is saddening. So, the gist of what's happening here is obviously it's very evident that manga is exploding in popularity. It's completely eclipsed the American comic book industry and has easily become the new de facto form of comic book graphic novel entertainment today. And due to this popularity, Japanese companies have been actively working to get their stories translated faster so readers outside of Japan can read them. Most of this is being done so quickly largely to counter the massive amounts of piracy that plagues the manga market, and these pirated versions of these stories oftentimes use unlicensed translations. But again, because of this, these Japanese companies are losing a lot of money. So naturally, they want to get their stuff out there as quickly as possible in order to meet demand and beat the piracy crowd too, which I totally understand. Also, piracy isn't cool. Just buy what you love, or don't complain when the stories you enjoy suddenly stop because you're not willing to support it. But anyway, this story exploded because Bushiroad Works, which is a Japanese publication company, decided in order to meet the demand of Western audiences, they would use a dual approach of AI translations and human editors as well. This pissed off a lot of localizers of these sorts of books, who mistakenly took it as Japanese companies are removing the human element and instead focusing on AI completely, but this isn't true. What these companies want to do is use AI to translate their books, and then once that's done, a human editor would comb through the translation. And then they would go through and fix anything that the AI didn't translate correctly or wouldn't make sense in other languages. Then the localizers started to get mad on Twitter, saying that these companies wanted to replace them. Take Andrew Steiner, no, not that Steiner, who said, "Such disrespect for the substance of the original text is saddening, especially with a series as thoughtful as this one. Corporate greed knows no bounds, of course. It's funny to me also that the official tweet announcing this only mentions the AI part in Japanese. Shameless." Another translator said, "Speed isn't the issue. You can find good translators with quick speeds. This is so disrespectful it hurts." With another chiming in and saying, "Save your money and use Google Translate instead because that's what this is gonna look like." So it's safe to say these localizers are pissed that their jobs are being threatened by AI, which is a real threat to not only their jobs but many others. Maybe one day AI will kill me in my sleep and take over my channel, you won't even know. Maybe I'm AI right now. How do you even know? But this story then goes thermal nuclear when a very specific localizer threw their hat in the ring named, and I'll probably butcher this, Katrina Leonidakis. She chimed in and said, "I don't have words for how embarrassing and disappointing this is. Instead of paying a human to do a quality job, they're using AI to get a mediocre product for free. Is this how little they think of English-speaking audiences of translation? For shame." You're probably wondering, why is Katrina being picked out of the crowd? Well, let's hear what she has to say, then I'll tell you the nitty-gritty afterwards that'll make you go, "Oh boy," and I quote, "Audiovisual translators are already criminally underpaid, both due to the intrusion of machine translation in the field as a whole and the demand to work in the entertainment industry. At least show your fans and creators more respect by giving them a human translation. I really wonder if creators know just how badly AI mangles the words they've crafted. Authors spend so much making sure their dialogue and narrative are written just so. You want to trust Google Translate to handle your prose? Is that how you want your audience to know you?" End quote. Then the company that publishes these mangas overseas, Bushiroad Works, replied to Katrina's rant by saying, and I quote, "To clarify misinformation that has been spread, I would like to provide some additional information. Firstly, regarding AI-assisted translation, we have implemented a system from Mantra Corporation. This system combines their unique machine translation technology with the editing and proofreading by professional translators. Next, about the purpose of simulcast distribution. Unofficial translations are sometimes released for free and circulate as pirated versions. Illegal manga piracy sites that publish these cause serious harm to the manga culture and industry both domestically and internationally. The ancient Magus Bride has also continuously suffered from such damages. Initiatives like the one we are undertaking now have been proven effective in reducing piracy damage as demonstrated by precedent cases with Shueisha's works. Finally, regarding books produced and licensed officially by foreign publishers. If there are any offers from various companies, they will continue to be considered, and if conditions are met, publications will proceed as before. This situation remains unchanged. Thank you." End quote. So now that I've laid out the battlefield of AI versus translators for you, what's the controversy? Well, it turns out that Katrina Localizer Lady and others like her have not been doing their jobs correctly, to put it lightly. It turns out what a lot of these Western localizers are doing isn't just translating the works from Japan, but instead injecting their own personal politics and terms into these stories, effectively turning someone else's work into their own version of woke agenda nonsense and then getting paid for it. So what the hell am I talking about exactly? That same translator Katrina, long last name person, was ousted last year for this very issue, where she admitted the translation of a manga her colleague was tasked with was translating a manga called "I Think I Turned My Childhood Friend Into a Girl." And they took that story and they retrofitted it to make the story be about a transgender character, even though that is not what the creator intended for it to be. Katrina and this other translator who helped providing the story for English readers decided to double down and say that what they were doing was morally right, and that making the story be a trans coming of age story was correct. But again, that's not what the creator of the manga intended for it to be about. Katrina would then say, "I know the translator and they've done their homework on this series, reading future volumes and consulting with trans people and working hard to make sure it's as accurate as possible. Shame on those listening to one rando and trashing it. I fully support this translator." Writing off what was an extremely complex and well-researched localization decision as transing a character for no reason is absolutely ridiculous and is 100% something TERFs and the right would write for some birdside cloud. Shame on you, be better. And even back then, this was frowned upon because, again, Katrina and others like her are not accurately translating stories for Western audiences. They're taking the work and then they're injecting their own politics within them. And it turns out this has been happening for a while, so let's go back to 2021 for a second. Take my hand and get in the DeLorean. We ride, dear viewer, to this article titled, "Funimation inserts references to non-binary identities into English dub of Skate the Infinity." During the episode, one of the characters in Skate the Infinity says, in Japanese anyway, while looking at the crowd, "All you fools who love skateboarding." Okay, so that's what this character says in Japanese. So what did the translators do to this line? Well, in the English dub, Adam, the character, says, "Hey bitches and bros and non-binary hoes." So this line alone here was changed to something completely different while also ensuring that it pandered as well, but it doesn't end there, fellas. Here's another Twitter user who localizes mangas where they said, "I've had to take matters into my own hands with some pretty sexist jokes, not even coming from villains or characters already set up as terrible. And I don't regret it. It is a lot of text is written by 50-year-old men and you get some dust in there, it helps no one to keep it." This then led to a very interesting Twitter exchange which reads, "That's not your job though. You're not the author." That's quite literally the job of localization. The majority of the audience doesn't enjoy sexist jokes. That's again, not your job. Your job is to translate the jokes and messaging of the original author in a way for the joke and messaging of the author to be understood to a foreign audience. I bet you're translating Huck Finn as well from its original text. To which this translator says, "Oh, you're one of those." You see what's happening here is we have these translators who are very obviously drinking the Kool-Aid and have made it their personal mission to pander and transform the works of Japanese creators in order to score woke brownie social acceptance points. And it's not only immoral, it's just downright stupid. Because, like what that Labor Twitter user said, they went out of their way to remove things they personally didn't agree with when they were translating something. Like removing text written by 50-year-old men as they put it. And by 50-year-old men they mean what exactly? The person who wrote the thing you're translating to begin with? So these translators genuinely believe that they know the story better than the actual creator who wrote and drew the story in the first place. This is not only a problem, it's dangerous as well, because these woke translators are not only injecting their own politics into these stories, they're removing the uniqueness of the creators themselves. And why read a manga made by a Japanese creator if the flavor and cultural relevancy behind it is torn out and replaced by woke Western agenda pushers instead? At that point, why even read this stuff, right? And herein lies the problem. Not only are these writers ruining these works with their own moronic politics, what this will end up doing is slowly but surely pushing potential fans and current fans away from reading or supporting these books. But this sucks, because if customers don't support these stories, the people who really get punished for these are the creators of those stories in Japan, who likely have no idea that their stories are being co-opted and retrofitted by morons with colorful hair. And then if fans stop buying these things, sure, the translator will lose some work, but in the long run, the publications will then cease releasing new products and stories, hampering not only the manga market, but the creative heartbeat of Japanese culture. These issues don't just stop in Western countries is what I'm saying. They can and will have long-standing detrimental effects to everyone involved. And if these stories get rejected because of some woke translator, they'll just move on to the next project where they will very likely be hired by one of their friends. And then they'll just do the same thing again and again until everything coming from Japan has been mistranslated in order to fit agendas that have no business being there in the first place. I know some of this sounds like hyperbole, but it isn't. This has a very damaging and serious effect on Japanese media, and these people have even infiltrated video games too. Look at the Legend of Heroes series, which is a very popular and long-running franchise from Falcom. One user on Twitter posted some examples of how localizations have been ruining these beloved games. I mean, look at this one image of the English text and you can see the smear of woke weirdo translators all over it. Stuff like, if this ain't a bruh moment, then I don't know what is. Dude, Randy would never say that. He's a cool and calm bracer. Like, what is even happening? Then look here, I mean, come on, dude. To be honest, I don't think I'm woke enough to vote on independence anyway. I'm kind of relieved. Like, excuse me? The word woke would have no place or meaning in a world like Zemuria or anyone who lives in Crossbell for that matter. Here's another example of English translation on the left meets what the Japanese text should say in English. As you can see, there's this weird millennial zoomer weirdo writing to the English version of this and it's stupid. Like, look here where the student says, I think your reasoning is correct. Then the actual official translation says, that's totes possible. Like, what? That's completely different. That's a whole new sentence. What the hell are you doing here? Here's another example. Japanese version says, how could that have been a disguise? Then the actual translation says, call me a creepy sheep because I got the wool pulled over my eyes so hard. Again, dude, that's an entire other made-up sentence. What the hell? Japanese again. Oh, come on, you weren't listening after all. English. Sheesh, I knew you were off in La La Land. Like, that's not even remotely close. And this is what I'm talking about, because these translations will do nothing but make people want to move away from these games. But they shouldn't, because the Legend of Heroes games are great. Honestly, everything from Falcom is amazing. Stuff like Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana, for example, is one of the best action RPGs of the past 10 years. I don't think its translation was that bad. I could be wrong. I mean, I'm pretty sure it got updated, but still. But that game is still amazing, and it should be played by anyone who loves JRPGs or action games. But anyone on the outside who's been thinking of buying these games will take one look at these sorts of translations and go, yeah, I'm good. And who does that hurt in the long run? The woke translator? Maybe sure. But this will just end up hurting Falcom instead, and they don't deserve to be punished. Because they make amazing games that are full of content and world building, and this kind of shit needs to stop because it's not right. Then this controversy got so bad, even Asmongold had to weigh in on this, so here's a clip of that.
Yeah, this is a classic one I show anytime it's relevant. So basically you have a translation of a scene from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid where Luca is basically saying, I wanted to wear something different so people wouldn't look at me.
Yeah.
And in the localization, it says, oh, those pesky patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves. Yeah, quite the leap and bound in that situation. But
no way though, right? Like, that's so outrageous. I don't even believe. Is this true? No way. That's great. Or what? No, I don't believe. I want to see it. I want to fucking see it. What's the title? Yeah, fact check right now. Yeah, I want to see it right now.
Coming. Hey. Oh, hi. What are you doing here, Lukawa?
To see you and bring these. Want some snacks?
Duh, thank you. What are you wearing that for?
Oh, those pesky patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves. So I changed clothes.
Give it a week, they'll be begging you to change back.
Huh?
You can come on in if you want.
And this is like real, right? Like this is it's I mean, I just this is so outrageous. It's like I refuse to fucking believe it. But it's right there in front of me. I see it. There it is. That's awful. Like, what?
And as you can see, there's a very distinct agenda going on here, where stories are being changed by woke translators and it's ruining these stories. There's already a Japanese developer with private funding creating an AI program that will soon be able to auto-translate any manga instantly into any other language. The company behind this is called Orange, and this AI program has been launched already in 2021. And it is already being actively used, and the founders of this hope that Orange will eventually get so industry-wide that it becomes the norm. According to Orange's founder, Shoko Ugaki, they said, "In 10 years, I would like to realize a world where people all over the world can read every Japanese masterpiece manga in their own native languages." Although Orange's CEO does admit the AI still does require a human translator to comb over the text afterwards, but this is still a good step. I find it crazy that I'm sitting here naked on my couch actually agreeing that we need more AI in the world. But it's like, what other option do we have? If these woke weirdos are willing to self-sabotage entire franchises and ruin their momentum for agenda brownie points, realistically, what other options do these Japanese companies and creators have? If they can't place their faith fully in the hands of the people tasked with translating these things, what are they supposed to do? The push for AI in translations is honestly not really a conversation of if, but when. And honestly, I think it's morally right in this very specific case anyway, where AI is objectively the right choice to go with over human input. Because at least with AI, it'll just tell you what's up without injecting politics or nonsense like turning characters trans randomly. And really, when you think about it, these problems that these translators are scared of, like losing their jobs to robots, it's all self-inflicted. Had they just did their jobs normally, none of this would have been an issue. But this is what I've been saying for a while now, that the Western woke mind virus will do everything in its power to overtake and infect the Eastern market if they can. Because it's very evident that Western customers are largely abandoning their own countries when it comes to entertainment. Because the Japanese industries at least don't care about multiple genders, pronouns, or pandering. They just care about quality and telling great stories, and that bothers the Western creators. Because it's been forever since Western comics have actually done anything interesting or new with the comics available to them. Everything is a rehash or what-if scenario, and Japan is over here coming up with new stories, characters, and metas seemingly every other week. The Western creators are scared of the East because they know that they can't compete with their quality in storytelling. So what better way to level the playing field than to ruin it from the inside out? And hope the rot consumes the host and eventually brings them down to their level. And if you ask me, dear viewer, we can't allow that to happen. Japan is a bastion of anti-woke entertainment, and they are champions of delivering some of the best stuff this world has ever seen. And the mind virus cannot be allowed to infest it. Japan has been rejecting the woke agenda, and we need to keep it that way. And I'm really glad this explosion of information and morons telling on themselves has exposed how these weirdos are trying to ruin the things that you all love. I truly hope AI takes their jobs, because clearly they're not fit to do what's required anyway. And that's not your fault. This falls solely on the shoulders of the multicolored haired weirdos who can't help themselves but inject their own politics into everything. Make Japanese content great again is what I say, and screw these people. And I look forward to a more based, more common sense led future, and I'll be damned if these morons will stop me. As always, thank you for watching, dear viewer. Like, subscribe, and share this video if you enjoyed it. And thanks to my patrons as well for their undying support for everything anti-woke. Have a wonderful day, enjoy some manga, and Happy New Year! I'll see you in the next one.